All right, everyone. This is Dr. Brian Capra from Genesis Chiropractic Software, a product of Billing Precision. We are here today to talk with Dr. John Davila, who is a coding and compliance expert, how to manage different fee schedules. A lot of times doctors have different contracts with different carriers, and they come in and they're not really sure how to handle that, how they should bill it, what's the right way to do it. And as always, I think it's always important to understand the underlying principles and philosophy on why you should do certain things certain ways. And that way that helps you understand going forward. So John's going to go over some of those things, and then we're going to also talk a little bit about how what Genesis and Billing Precision, what we can do to help automate those steps. So without any further ado, John Davila, thank you so much for being with us. If you want to take it from the top.
Thanks, Brian. There's been a lot of questions lately that we've come across with doctors asking about multiple fee schedules. Should I have one? Should I not have one? What's easier? What's easiest? And so we came up with this presentation on understanding fee schedules, what you can and can't do. And the whole point behind it is to figure out not just what you can and can't do, but the reasons why and where it all comes from. So what I thought I would do was talk about multiple fee schedules from the very beginning. And the truth is, under certain circumstances, it is totally legal to have numerous fee schedules for your services. And from a business standpoint, it is totally necessary to do so. And the reason why I say it's totally necessary is because there are certain considerations you should take when it comes to creating a fee schedule, both for your business and understanding what your business should be doing, and in addition to that, the way your patients view you. Now, what I mean is, I've written an article that's been posted a couple different places on, it's called, Do You Get Angry Phone Calls? And the question really is, do you get angry phone calls because of patients who say, you're trying to rip my insurance off because you billed me $200 for a service that they only allowed $40, and, that whole situation. And every time I go into an office, the question always comes up. I always ask the staff this question. It always comes up. Do you ever get patients who complain about what you charge? And invariably with doctors with one fee schedule, they always say yes. And I go, how many do you get? Oh, 2 or 3 per month. It's not that many. Well, if it's 2 or 3 per month and you're losing a bunch of patients on top of that as far as new ones not coming back, I'd be willing to bet it's probably more than that. So, you can and should have multiple fee schedules for groups you have in-network policies with, and that's the whole point behind this. Now, in addition, when contracted with a carrier, it's totally legal to have that fee schedule be specifically for what that carrier's maximum fee schedule is. And the reason why you should is from a business standpoint to know exactly what your practice must be collecting every month. See, from the business side, it's totally necessary to know and expect what you should be collecting. Now, how are you supposed to know that if you're just billing $300 for a service they're going to allow $60, or $200 for a service they're going to allow $40? Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that happens a lot in order for doctors to mistakenly think they want to bill the maximum amount for either PIP or auto or comp. Well, those things it's not necessary to do that. And especially if you're dealing with contracts or even for that matter, Medicare. Now, the reason why it's big for in a Medicare case is because there are stiff fines for attempting to collect more than you're allowed to collect from a Medicare patient. And if you bill more than you're supposed to for a Medicare patient, it'll give you a little nastygram on your EOB that says you're not allowed to collect this amount, and the fine is this, the fine is that. Excuse me. It's not worth it. It's better just to say, this is what you owe to the patient, this is what we're going to bill you, this is what our contract rate is, and boom, done. Why? There's no write-off, there's no complaint, there's no issue. In fact, the biggest reason is because now you know exactly what to collect. You can go to your staff and say, we did this amount of business last month and we collected 80% or 90% or 100%. That's the way it should be. The other way, you have write-offs, you have math, and it takes too many steps for a staff member to go through, especially in a big practice, that many services per month, and still be able to correctly write off all these differences. Now, in addition to that, what we're going to talk about is how to actually do it. Now, what we're looking at here is Having a separate fee schedule for a contracted carrier creates more of a clear picture for your practice's financial solution. Here's the example we're talking about. If your bill is $99,202 and your fee is $150, your overage is $105. You have all these different services here that are allowed versus your bill. The problem comes up that now, right, 100 visits a week, the write-offs would equal about $20,000 a month. The process of writing off and doing the math takes time. It also gives a false sense of business production. Oh, yeah, I did $600,000 in business last month, but I only collected $8,000. What's going on? See, on paper, this practice would produce almost $120,000 a month in services, but the possible collections will only be $40,000. So it's better to know exactly what you should be doing versus not knowing. Plus, don't forget, how many patients would be upset, like I said before, about getting a bill for $800 when they should only be paying $120? And I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong or it's bad. What I'm saying is, what happens to the patient who thinks that you're being unfair to their insurance company? You're trying to rip them off. You may not be. In fact, we all know that because of contract, that's not the case. I know you're sitting there going, but John, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to maximize. I get it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the perceived view of what the patient looks at when they get a bill for a service that's $900 when really they only allowed $80. Now, I know I'm trying to make large extremes, but that's happened to me personally when I went to have work done in the hospital. I had X amount of work done, and it was $7,000, and they only allowed $1,200. The insurance company made the hospital write off the. So I mean, this stuff happens, and you look at it, and you're like, wow, that's ridiculous. Why are they charging that amount? And you look at that carrier as thank God we have them, and you look at the hospital as like, oh my God, they're trying to rip me off. That's not necessarily the case, but that's how it's viewed. Now, once we have an agreement with an insurance carrier, we're protected from antitrust violations, and that's where the violation comes from having dual fee schedules. Therefore, there's no need to have just one fee schedule so that you can still bill your highest fee to non-contracted carriers or PIP and comp. So PIP and comp has nothing to do with this conversation. And then we want to bill our non-contracted rates a higher rate, and that's totally fine. And you can bill your lower rates to your agreed fee schedules as far as agreed with contracts. Totally fine because of a law called McCarran-Ferguson. That gives insurance companies the ability to have antitrust exemption, to be able to make contracts with doctors, and to be able to make fee schedules. And that law only covers insurance carriers. We don't have access to that law, so that's why we can't have numerous fee schedules with different carriers, even if we don't have contracts. So we don't have antitrust exemption. Insurance companies do. Now, when dealing with an uninsured patient, okay, it is necessary to have a fee schedule that does not change upon discounts. These patients should be treated the same as if they did have insurance with their fee schedule that was set by a third party. Okay, so these schedules, when we're talking about non-contracted rates and cash patients, their fee schedules should be exactly the same. Now, if we look at a compliant fee schedule, this is what we're talking about. Now remember, this is just for example. Okay, so let's say we're taking a cash patient, a Medicare non-par patient, or a par, doesn't really matter here, a BCBS contracted, and an Aetna, and that's non-contracted. Okay, my open rate for a 9940, let's say it's $30. My Medicare non-par rate or par non-par rate, let's say it's $24.49. My Blue Cross Blue Shield contract rate is $25. My rate's $30. Okay. So for 97012 for traction, let's say it's 22, 22, 15, and 22. The reason why we have all these different fee schedules is because we have contracts. Now look at the amount that's allowed. That's different each time. So cash would be a total of $52. Aetna would be a total of $52. Why? We'll talk about that in a second. Medicare would be $46.49, and BCBS would be $40. Now as we look at each one individually, we start to see that this cash rate is what it is. This is what the patient owes. There's no messing with this. This is what they owe. This is their fee. Now, the only way we could change this, okay, the total amount due is because either A, they have a financial hardship, or B, you have access to a product called compliantcoupons.com. I'll explain that in a few minutes. There is a possibility now with the way the government has changed rules as of March 27, 2012, that now coupons can be made legal. I'll explain that in a few minutes. Now, if we have Medicare, let's say it's par or non-par, the rate is $24.49. That's what's allowed, and $22, which is your open rate. Now, the reason why it's only $22 right? And the reason why the copay would be only $26.98 is because, A, there's no fee schedule for therapy, so you're supposed to be charging your open rate. With your fees, as far as $24.49 being only allowed, now you don't have to worry about write-offs. It's only 20% of $24.49, which is $4.98, plus the full rate for the therapy because there's no contract. Total amount due for this visit is $26.98. Now, with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, it's a little different. The patient would have contract rate of $25 and $15, and the total would be $40. Now, for this patient, the total amount due would be 20% based on the patient's contract, assuming it's 20%. So if there was not anything billed over this amount, the doctor is not allowed, even if there was something billed over this amount, there's nothing the doctor can do to collect it because we have contractor rates. So if it's $25 and $15, the total amount's $40. The patient would have an $8 copay and be done unless there was deductible or there was some other arrangement to be made based on the patient's contract. Now, with Aetna would be $30, $22, and $52, okay? And this gets a little tricky because then we're going to run into some with some of these non-contracted rate carriers. They're going to tell you what their maximum allowed is and things like that. So let's take a look at that math problem. For this patient, the total amount due is based upon the charges, not the allowed amount. In this process, it's called balance billing. So no matter what amount is allowed by the carrier, as a non-par provider, you must attempt to collect the entire amount. Now here's the math. Doctor charged $52, Aetna allowed $40. Aetna paid 80% of the $40, which is $32. The patient's copay on the allowed amount was $8, so the 8 plus 32 equals 40. Now, because they wrote off, insurance carrier didn't allow $12 of that 52, the patient's liability is added to that. So the balance billing is $12. So the total liability for the patient for this visit is $20. If you do not have a contract, you are not allowed to write off that $12. You must go back and attempt to collect the extra $12. So this is why balance billing is important when you're dealing with non-contracted rates. And also, don't forget, that's a lot of money to be writing off. Oh, yeah, we'll just write it off for our patients. No, we can't because why? We don't have a contract with Aetna. Aetna patients, basically, this is what they call their penalty to going to someone who's out of network. So that's how you'd handle compliant fee schedules. Brian, I know you had something to add to that about how Genesis handles these things.
Right. Again, Genesis Chiropractic Software is a product of Billing Precision. But, yeah, so this can get obviously very confusing, especially if you're trying to keep track of all this manually, which a lot of practices do. The software handles all this automatically. So you're able to configure the system per carrier and set up the fee schedule that you have agreed to or your contracted amount per carrier. And the system does all of this for you, including even if you wanted to have it automatically send the balance bills to the patient. So it actually handles all this stuff for you. Now, if you wanted to, it could also write it off. But there's, I guess the point is that there's a number of different ways to do this, but we can handle what John is recommending here in an automated way.
Beautiful. So I just wanted to go through one more thing. We talked about discounts. I wanted to talk about that real quick because I know I know I'm going to leave that question open. People are going to ask about how that works. And after what Brian had said was, I know I'm going to get some questions about discounts, and I'll let people know as of March 27th, the rules have changed. Things like discounts and coupons can actually be done, but they must be done a certain way according to the Office of Inspector General. So what they created was something called something where a website is providing services for the doctor and compliance services, for that matter, in order to help the doctor be able to produce coupons that are legal and that the accounting process is legal for Medicare. So what I did was I went to the OIG website, downloaded everything, and then created a website called compliantcoupons.com. It's a service that now allows doctors the ability to offer patients access to discounts that were previously not available legally. Now, we all know that doctors in the past have done this regardless. But now there's a way in which you can do it, and it becomes legal. Now, you can, in this process, receive your own fully customized landing page website. You can avoid federal anti-kickback statute because I've seen a couple different cases in the last year where chiropractors were busted and given hefty fines for giving services like free services, exams, and x-rays, things like that, to Medicare patients. It's not even worth it. And in fact, at this point in time, there's not even a need now to join. Patients pay extra money per year to join discount networks, not if you have access to things like this. So what we've done is we've created a website that actually allows the doctor to have their own page. Now, this page has the doctor's name, pictures, and can you go forward one slide for me?
Sure.
There we go. So this page allows the doctor to have their own name, website. It could be used directly at any page, your own URL. You could have it come from your own website. Let's say once it's here, the patient will come to your website. Let's say they go to your website, you click here for our special offers. They would go directly to this page. When they went to go click on the bottom coupon, it would just ask them to register, meaning their name and email address, and then scroll down to the bottom, hit accept like they're downloading software, like software websites, and then that legally would allow them to see what the safe harbor is for any kickback statute. So based on the level of subscription, patients have a choice on how many different types of coupons that they have. Give me one more slide.
Sure.
So based on the different plans you have, we have the silver plan, which is $39 a month, where we have just one general coupon. Everyone has access to that. It rotates every month. After that, for $59 a month, we have the silver plan, which gives the doctor the ability to have that initial silver plan plus any other coupon that we have. We have another 12 different coupons to choose from that rotate on a regular basis that they could put on their website. The patient can have a choice of 2 different coupons. Then we have a platinum plan, which is $99 a month, which is a little bit different because what we'll do is we'll make them up to 6 coupons for themselves per year, plus, and here's the big plus, let's say a patient registers, downloads the coupon, doesn't show up. In our platinum plan, the doctor automatically in real time gets an email from the patient who's registered that may or may not show up. So if the patient doesn't show up, then we know who they are. We can continue to market to them on a regular basis. Plus, don't forget, we personalize coupons for you. You get up to 4 coupons to place on your page at any one point in time. One of them is one of ours. Then you get to choose any one of 3 more that you want to go ahead and put on your page. So that process is out there. If you'd like to go look at it, it's compliantcoupons.com. You can go right to that website and search on there. And then remember, this isn't meant to be someone driving coupons or patients to your website. This is so you could be at a screening, and the patient says, "I'd like to come in." Sure, no problem. And let's say you're charging $15 for an exam that day, and you can go ahead and have $30 off your coupon. Your exam fee would be $45. You'd have $30 off your exam, and you'd basically have the patient. And this is the coolest part. We have this in a mobile for Android and for iPad and iPod Touch, and also for iPhone. The app automatically takes you right to the page. You go there, the patient enters their email address and their name, and they can automatically download the coupon right to their phone, and they're all set right in your office. No problem. We know we've got it. We've registered them, and we move on from there. So it's really, really cool. If you'd like to look at it, compliantcoupons.com. You can reach me from there, or customchirosolutions.com is another great way to reach me on this issue. Brian, that's all I've got. If you want to hit one more slide.
Yep. Okay.
Go to the end.
Great job with that, John. That's really cool. That's that new app that you have. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it just finished. It's being launched today.
Oh, all right, cool. Congratulations, then. I know that's a lot of work to get that to that spot. So, all right. So that was great. What we're going to do actually is I'm going to take this recording. I'm going to post it directly into our content-specific help, so it's going to be right in the area where they're going to set up the fee schedules. I'll also put it on our blog and up on our YouTube and Vimeo and all that, so everybody will have access to this on an ongoing basis and be able to watch it as many times as they need to. And then what I suggest for current Billing Precision / Genesis clients is if you're not sure how your fee schedules are set up, or if you want to reconfigure them and you know that, I suggest you open a ticket to your SPOC and just let them know you want to just analyze your fee schedules where they're at and maybe reconfigure them. And that way you'll get a call back and everything will be set up perfectly. All right, so John, thank you so much for your time. I think this is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. I think it's going to save everybody, our clients, you, our stocks, and our profitability coaches are going to save everybody a lot of time and energy and confusion and headache because we've got the answer one time here that everybody can see. So again, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.